Do you enjoy an occasional glass of boxed wine, but aren't necessarily a fan of the look of the box or the inconvenience of this little spout way down here? If so, I've got something I think you're going to appreciate. Hello again and welcome back to another video on Randy Reviews. So if you've made it this far, you probably do enjoy a glass of wine. And my wife and I, we sure do, and it didn't take us too long. A few years ago, we discovered the world of boxed wines. There are some great wines that you'll find in these boxes. They tend to have a little bit of stigma attached to them. I don't know why. But there's some good wines and they're definitely convenient. There's 4 bottles in one of these boxes, in a 3-liter box that is. They do make different sizes. But the cost is pretty reasonable. A lot of these, you'll get a good quality wine for $20 or less per box. So it's an affordable way to enjoy a glass of wine once in a while. And there's a whole lot less waste here, right? You can recycle the box, recycle the bag, so they're pretty nice in those regards too. Now the downside, let's face it, they're not very attractive, right? Compared to having a nice bottle sitting out, these just don't look nearly as nice. And they're also a little inconvenient with this spout way down at the bottom. Makes it hard to get a glass underneath there, or my wife and I, we like to aerate our wine, and that makes it even more difficult to deal with. We actually have gotten in the habit of putting the box on the back of the kitchen sink and then putting the glass down in the sink and using the back of the sink to kind of elevate it and make it a little bit more convenient. So I was on the hunt actually recently for a stand, and I thought, I could just build one because it really wouldn't take much to do that. Hammer a couple of pieces of wood together and you've got a stand that you can elevate this thing with. But the problem with that is, when you start to get it high enough to put a glass under, especially if you like to aerate, this just keeps getting taller and taller, and we didn't really want to have something like that sitting out on the counter. So I started doing a little bit of research. I figured somebody certainly must have solved this problem by now, and lo and behold, somebody has. And what I found was this right here. This is from a company called Boxxle. It is a wine dispenser made specifically for these 3-liter boxes of wine. You open the box, you take the bag out, you put it inside of this unit. There is a spring-loaded bottom to this that once you close it up, it's going to put pressure from the bottom up. You're able to relocate the spout up high so you can get your glass, your aerator underneath there. And it also looks attractive sitting out on the counter. So I'm pretty excited about this, but let's open it up and we'll take a closer look at it. So let's open this thing up. And right off the bat, you got some nice packing materials in here. And here it is. Very well protected with all the packing materials, some silica gel in there. And I do have to say, I like the idea. I got handles on here so I can move it place to place, bring it over to the table if you're going to share it with people on the counter, whatever you want to do. So that's nice. A little button here to pop the top. A little more packing in here. And very simple instructions. So I'm going to take a quick gander at these and we'll come back and we'll put this to use and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I have gone through that short instruction sheet and I am fully versed in the operation of the Boxxle unit. So first things first, push the button on the front. The lid will pop open. And what you're going to do, the bottom of this is spring loaded like we've talked about. Just simply push it down until you hear it click into place, and it's ready to go. Now it is fairly stiff. It does take a fair amount of pressure, but I think just about anybody ought to be able to do that. So now it is ready to accept a bag of wine. I've got a brand new one right here. So let's take this out. And the one thing you need to do before you put this into the Boxxle dispenser is this is set up to pour out of the bottom of the box. This needs to be turned so that it will be facing the right direction from the top side when we put it in. So fairly simple. You just grab a hold of the spout and give it a twist. Takes a little bit of effort, but not too bad. Turn it around 180 degrees, and now it will be facing the right way when we put this into the Boxxle unit. So simply insert this, make sure that the spout is inserted in here properly. Got to get that outside, and then hold this in position when you close the lid so that this can clamp down and keep the spout in the correct position and not inside the unit. Now, one thing I do want to make mention of, and I did read a couple reviews that mentioned the same thing, not all bags are created equal. Some might be a little bit larger, some might have a little more wine, some might have more air. But once in a while you might run into one of these that you'll have to drain off a little bit of wine before you put it in here so that the lid will close properly. I haven't done that with this one. We'll see how it goes. Seems fine. So now we are locked and loaded and ready to dispense wine. I just happen to have a glass here. So put the glass under, push the button, and look at that, would you? Glass of wine out of the Boxxle unit. I like the way it works. Seem to have adequate pressure to force it out, and that should be consistent because as you continue to dispense the wine, that spring mechanism is going to continue to push up on the bottom and force it out. So it actually will probably drain the bag better than if you were just using the box itself. I gotta say I like it, and one of the other things I do appreciate also, like we talked about earlier, with the spout being up at the top of the unit, there's plenty of room not only to get the tallest glass under there, but if you want to aerate the wine like my wife and I do, you've got lots of room that you can do that too. I think I'm going to enjoy this, and if you might enjoy it, there will be a link down below. You can find one of these for yourself. But if you like the video, make sure to like it, comment, share, subscribe if you would, if you want to see more stuff like this. And as always, thanks for hanging out.